Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money and Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage, the two brightest guys
in the room.
In the room,
except for
except for me,
except for Kramer.
Except for Kramer. Okay. Second commercial trivia question: who didn't say "play it again, Sam"?
Well, that was Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart, but he also sounds like
Woody,
Squidward.
was
You're
Woody,
Squidward.
was Woody Allen.
He actually said, "Play it again, Shirley."
Pretty good. No, but he didn't. No,
he never actually said "play it again,
said
Sam." It was credited.
Ingrid Bergman. There you go. I knew it was some chick. Okay, email time we have here. Robert, do you foresee a time when banks will ease up their lending criteria? Which is very poignant for today's show.
Do I see a time when banks will ease up their lending criteria? My crystal ball says about 2008.
Excellent.
About 4 years ago, before all this happened. No, I really think that that's not going to happen. The Dodd-Frank laws sort of prohibit any mortgage lenders doing the kinds of things that they did before. Quick qualifier loans, no ninja loans where you didn't have to show your income or your assets or you could create
don't you
a
think
job.
that the president is wanting to say that everybody deserves to own a home?
Oh, he does say he
wants to make sure everyone does.
He does say that everybody deserves to own a home.
So you don't think when interest rates start, we're at 4 now, but when they start going up to 6 or 7 or 8, and historically those used to be good mortgage rates. So I can easily visualize a time in the near future where we are talking about 6, 7, 8% mortgage rates again. You don't think the banks can sort of get?
I don't think we get there at all in the next few years. I mean, even small increments, up to 4% or up to 4 1/4, which they actually are closer
if
to
anything,
kill the market right now.
They should, if they're going to ease it up, they should do it when rates are 4%, not 6%.
So you're thinking that the government's more likely to try to affect keeping interest rates low than worry about whether or not banks will loosen their credit criteria if interest rates go up.
That's true. They're not going to loosen their credit criteria. They're sort of close to where they have been traditionally since the New Deal. I mean, they want to see people pay not much more than 40% of their income towards mortgages and housing expenses, and that's the way it's been, except for that anomaly of that period where you could borrow anything. You could borrow 100%, and now it's rare to find banks that will lend more than 80%, even with second mortgages and lines of credit.
What about the Fannie Freddie 3% deal? FHA.
The FHA still is there, and you can put down 3.5% and get a mortgage. The fees are hefty and getting larger. There's an upfront fee of 1 3/4% of the loan. So if you're borrowing $300,000 loan, that in the loan could be about $5,000 or $6,000 fee. You'd have to pay about $300 a month for mortgage insurance. And starting June the 1st on FHA loans, the mortgage insurance is there for the life of the loan. It used to be that after 3 or 5 years, if you had equity, you could get out of it and keep your loan. And now not. It's there for the life of the loan.
And how much is an average mortgage insurance? How much extra does that add?
Well, there's private mortgage insurance, which is less than FHA mortgage insurance. Private mortgage insurance, again, it depends. Some of the banks will say, if you pay us up front, depending on your credit, depending on how good your application is, you could potentially pay 1% of the loan as an upfront fee. If you're purchasing it, you could negotiate so the sellers could credit you that, and you wouldn't have any mortgage insurance. That's if you have 10% down. If you just have 3.5% down, you're limited to FHA financing or VA if you're a veteran.
So you're buying a $300,000 mortgage, it would cost you $3,000 throughout the life of the loan.
$3,000, and then you get an excellent rate, and either that or you would pay about $3,000 a year. So
that doesn't make sense.
No, it makes sense to get that money.
Yeah, and they'll let you do private insurance rather than FHA.
Yes.
So back to whether or not banks are likely to ease underwriting guidelines and make lending easier again, thanks to our friends Frank and Dodd, who we don't like very much around here at this show. They've pretty much written regulations now that basically are going to preclude banks from loosening up their credit
They
standards.
really do, and there's a lot of parts of the law that really haven't been enacted yet, and everybody's trying to scramble to figure out exactly what they mean and how they will be enacted.
Don't
and,
get me started on that. You know, every January for the last 3 years, there have been a whole slew of new laws layered on top of the last pile of new laws that only serve, in my opinion, to do one thing, and that is to take away consumer choice, all in the guise of consumer protection. You can't see my hands, but I'm putting them up in quotes. It's just nonsense. The government thinks you're too stupid to make your own business decisions and borrow money, and now they're going to protect you from yourself.
But I figured out a new tax loophole. I'm going to change my name to Anonymous. That way I can take all these tax deductions, right? People make donations and they was done anonymously. I'm going to take credit for all those. Okay, just
That's
kidding.
your
IRS.
get rich quick scheme.
That's my
right?
get
Oh,
rich quick
All right,
scheme.
good.
Okay, Mark.
You are being
That's right. Here's a question we received for you, which is kind of almost contrast with Mark Roberts, which is if the banks ease up on their parameters, will you still be able to provide loan investments to your investors? You may have to explain that, what that means.
So my company's Pacific Private Money, based in the Bay Area. We make hard money loans to real estate investors, and we have a thriving business, as a lot of private lenders are today, and for the last 5 years have been thriving because the banks stopped making loans to real estate investors after 2008. The subprime market melted, everything went to where in a handbasket, and the banks basically said, we're going to focus on consumer home loans from now on, and you guys who are looking to buy, investment property or to buy fix and flip, you're going to have to go figure out something else. And what we in the business figured out is there was a business to be had for making privately funded loans to real estate investors at price levels that significantly higher than bank financing, but enough to entice private individuals to put their capital up. So we were able to get returns for our investors anywhere from 8% on up. And so the question was, if banks ease their lending standards, which you just said they're probably not going to do, although I think they could certainly ease their FICO guidelines, maybe from 680 to 650 or 640 or whatever. I mean, they're still going to have to. You're still going to have to show income to make a loan, but I guess there are probably ways that the banks will discover how to ease and be able to increase the loans that borrowers qualify for. That, and they may decide to get back into the lending market for non-owner occupied and investment property. And when that happens, what's going to happen to the private lending industry? And in my opinion, it's going to affect it, but not as much as people might think. And the reason for that is that we in the private lending industry have gotten really good at speed and efficiency in underwriting, and those are things that banks generally don't have a reputation for. So we can.
You're being kind.
Yes. So when I get a call on a Wednesday or Thursday from a real estate investor who's in contract and says, "Hey, I got to close by next Friday," so we're talking like maybe 5 business days to get a deal done. There is no bank on the planet that is ever, and I'm saying ever, going to be able to accommodate that kind of speed.
Especially even if the person comes in with an already made appraisal, because the rules say that the bank has to order the appraisal themselves, and the old one's no good.
And it's happening now. A lot of the multiple offers, I mean, people make good offers even significantly over asking price, and they lose out to somebody who says, here's a check, let's close on Friday. It's Monday, we'll close in 5 days.
Are they doing that fast?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not
contingency?
Not
Not
to the
through
banks.
Yeah, I
If
know.
they have all cash, or
But no inspection? I mean, what happens if the roof looks like it's falling in? They don't care.
They've either done that ahead of time, or they'll get in contract and say that they'll have 2 hours for inspections or whatever. But because they're multiple offers, most of the sellers say, "That's great if you're putting 20% down or 100% down. How wonderful! Show me the money before I say okay."
So the reason we can do this quickly is because we focus, as do most private lenders, on a specific market. So we only lend in the Bay Area, and we know Bay Area real estate, and we have access to professionals that can provide us BPOS, which stands for Broker Price Opinion, which is like an appraisal, but much quicker, and oftentimes even more accurate in many opinions, including my own. So we're able to underwrite a loan effectively. So it's not like we're being, haphazard in our underwriting. We're not. We can, in 5 business days, determine whether a loan is a fundable loan, the borrower is, adequate in terms of, credit, background, experience, etc. The neighborhood where the property is in, we can go and inspect and see the property and make sure that everything looks as it should. That
Because
it's
it doesn't
basically a
take
cookie
that.
cutter
A
deal.
lot of that stuff doesn't take that
No,
long.
it
Just
doesn't.
With the banks.
The banks, they
Well,
can't.
They can't
because they're
do that,
national.
and they have 10 levels of approval.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Do you have to approve people on their income, like,
No.
if it's an RPM?
Yeah, we can make.
You're more asset based.
We do stated income loans. You tell me you make $10,000 a month, I don't need to verify that. Now, will I do that? Yes, I do from time to time. It depends on the nature of the transaction. If it's a buy, fix, and flip, I don't necessarily need to verify that the guy's making $10,000 a month or $5,000 a month or whatever, because we're only making a 70% of purchase price loan. He's coming in with capital that's coming from somewhere, whether it's his capital or his investor's capital. We're well protected. We know how to go in and finish that project if he doesn't, and that almost never happens.
That's a good point, because a lot of times when you buy a house for yourself with the bank loan, and you say, well, some of my down payment is borrowed money from my dad or something, they don't like to see that.
We don't
You don't care, because
right.
the money is money,
Yep.
and you're doing
It's
it
coming from
percentage.
somebody, and that
Yeah.
somebody is going to care about getting their money back.
Exactly.
So that protects our loan.
Sure, and hey, if you have to take over, maybe you'll actually make more money than the loan the amount. So how do people get a hold of you?
So for more information on either borrowing money privately, or more importantly for many of our listeners, if you're interested in learning how to make 8% or more on your savings or IRA accounts, if you're self-directing your IRA, and I hope all of you are, because that's one way to get great returns, call us at Pacific Private Money. We're here in the Bay Area at 415-883-2150. That's 415-883-2150, or visit us at pacificprivatemoney.com.
And one of our sponsors is IRA Services Trust Company, and they do
Yes.
a phenomenal job handling people's IRA, whether or not you invest in deeds of trust or stocks and bonds or an independent custodian. We don't get any benefits.
You should say that again, because it's really specific, that self-directed IRAs.
Self-directed
A lot
IRA.
of people don't know about it.
The IRA Services Trust Company in San Carlos. They just check them out at IRA Services Trust Company, IRAServices.com.
Their website has a lot of information about what a self-directed IRA
Yeah,
is, and if you're
very
looking at making
reasonably
alternative investments, that's an area to look.
Okay, we're going to cut to our third commercial break. Here's the trivia question. Who usually ended his show saying, "Good night, Gracie"? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Old Lighthouse Resort. You got to go back to old TV for this one. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Who usually ended his show saying, "Say goodnight, Gracie"? Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email letter one letter at a time. It's a tongue twister. And don't touch that dial, because we're going to have some closing comments.
I don't think Robert said contact information, so.